Apprentice. Yi Qingyao saw him from a distance, his white and flawless face suddenly burst into a joyful smile. Lian stepped danced lightly, 3 steps and 2 steps. Rushed to his face, and said cheerfully, "I'm back." Su Chang'e was also very happy, couldn't help but hold her in his arms, just about to speak. Yi Qingyao suddenly noticed something, her face suddenly turned white, and said, "Apprentice, this broad daylight, if you let other peaks see from afar, how can this be explained?" Su Chang'e's heart inexplicably rose a different feeling, but this naturally did not bother him. His eyes turned, and said, "Master, then let's find a remote place. Just do it." He immediately took Yi Qingyao to a secluded place where no one was. Soon, we arrived at a grove. This is the south side of Pear Blossom Peak, tall and verdant, with lush foliage, and ordinary people who do not carefully perceive it will not see a young man and woman under this dense leaf. At this time, Su Chang'e and Yi Qingyao hugged each other tightly. "Apprentice, I thought it would take many days to go for this, but who knew that peerless Tianjiao also went, and it was a real person without showing his face. No one knew when he went. When I arrived with the 9 Peaks Peak Lord and so many disciples, the battle was already over." Yi Qingyao sighed with emotion, both glad and a little uncomfortable. This way, knowing the whole process from the mouth of the beautiful master, Su Chang'e smiled heartily, as if he really had just learned from her. Yi Qingyao continued, "Apprentice, that Huang Jiulong is also too strong. Do you know how terrifying he is? First swept the lost ruins, then swept the 10,000 Devils Cave, and finally swept the entire family of the ancient family, forcing the head of the Zhao family to sacrifice himself in the flesh to resurrect the Black Wing Great Demon, but in the end, even the Black Wing Great Demon was killed by him. This person is really against the sky. It is too strong, alas." In Yi Qingyao's words, there were surprise, shock, helplessness, and sighs. Tiantai Peak has produced such a disciple against the sky. If he really grows up in the future, I am afraid that Lu Wafeng's life will be difficult. When she finished speaking, she explained to Su Chang'e that Chu Shui's matter was not done by the great Luo heavenly demon, but by the Blackwing Great Demon. Su Chang'e naturally knew better than her, and after listening to it, he smiled and said, "Master, you don't have to worry about whether the future life will be better. Don't look at Huang Jiulong is very beautiful now. It's really a tournament. There is a time for him to cry." Yi Qingyao shook his head and sighed. He has grown to this point now. Even those immortal sword gods and swordsmen in the sect may not be able to suppress him. Su Chang'e understood that Master Venerable had misunderstood. She was right. It was true. Lear was the end of the era, and a saint. How could those sword immortals and sword gods be able to match? It's just that these masters don't know. Mercy has already become a saint, and has passed through the quasi-saint to reach the rank of true saints. Those sword immortals and sword gods are only ascending in life and death calamities, and peerless swordsmen and swordsmen are only some distance away from the true holy realm. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. However, the sect master is also concerned about the disciples. What are the cultivation practices of those closed disciples? Probably, quasi-saint? Master, you don't have to be so discouraged. The disciple still has something to give you. Su Chang'e changed the topic and took out the pill bottle. Yi Qingyao still wanted to continue that topic. You must know that Huang Jiulong took away the holy soldier. This is like a tiger with wings, but just as she was about to say this, her palm was already held up by Su Chang'e, and A bottle was placed in her palm. Master, I have a little chance today, I sent you, take it. Yi Qingyao looked down at the bottle in his hand, subconsciously opened the seal, just sniffed it inadvertently, and suddenly there was a bang in his body, and Zifu Shouwei began to loosen. This? Her pupils dilated and she felt deep incredulity. Discerning people knew at a glance that this treasure must be good, and she also saw the liquid in the bottle at this time, and suddenly opened her mouth wide, and lost her voice. This is the purest and most pure Kunlun chalcedony liquid. Suchonga smiled lightly and asked, Master, is the disciple good to you? Yi Qingyao was moved in her heart and said, Good. It's nice to have you. Having said that, she did not use this bottle of chalcedony liquid, but carefully stored it. In fact, what Suchonga didn't know was that from the very beginning when he sent Yi Qingyao treasures, Yi Qingyao had never used them, except for a non-consumable item, such as a treasure like the Immortal Calamity Sutra, and a red-blooded relic that was absorbed out of curiosity. In addition to these uses, other things, especially the number of terrifying spirit stones, were useless. The reason she couldn't bear it, she was helping Suchonga keep it, she wanted to wait for Suchonga to open up one day and be able to practice. She would give him these treasures and supply him. If it weren't for this, her cultivation would have already passed through the Purple Mansion and reached a new realm under the supply of endless treasures. At this moment, in Suchonga's mind, the system's tens of billions of subsidies arrived. Ding. Ding. You sent a bottle of ultimate Kunlun chalcedony liquid, and the tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess critical attack multiplier, 800,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Luojia Jing Bottle Jade Du. Luojia Jing Bottle Gyukuro? Seems like a good thing. Suchonga was looking forward to waiting for the explanation of the entry of the system. Soon, the system sound sounded. Luojia Jing Bottle Jade Du, the divine water from the Luojia mountain in the South China Sea, colorless and odorless, has a magical effect. A drop of belly can replenish a large amount of pure aura, and quickly improve cultivation, and additionally has the effect of consolidating the foundation. So powerful. Suchonga slapped his thigh, joy fell from the sky. Yi Qingyao spoke, Apprentice, if nothing else, Huang Jiulong will definitely become a giant in the future. If that's the case, then we will leave the sect and find a mundane small city to live in. What do you think? Can't afford to offend, hide? Suchonga was a little worried, and immediately persuaded, it's okay to go to a small city to live, but I'm afraid that we can't retreat with our whole body, because even if we quit the sect, Du Sihai won't let us go. On the contrary, even if the other party begged for mercy, the only thing waiting for him was to be killed. However, Suchonga didn't care at all, and he didn't know who begged for mercy at that time. You're right, alas, I don't know what to do then. Can you hug me again? Yi Qingyao let out a long sigh and felt a deep sense of crisis. Only when she is held by Suchonga will she feel safe. Good. Suchonga hugged her waist and held her tightly in his arms. Yi Qingyao's heart suddenly gave birth to a feeling of mutual affection. Time passed slowly, and several hours passed in the blink of an eye. It wasn't until much later that the two separated. I'll go back first. Chu Shui's matter has been solved, and the sect master will definitely have to do a finishing work or something, and I just got the news. Lord Mushang is coming back in the past few days. There are many things that need to be arranged, and when the busy days are over, I will take you out to travel. Yi Qingyao said softly. Well, master, you can just be busy with yours. As soon as he heard that his master and mother were coming back, Suchonga's mind suddenly crossed one after another of beautiful memories, and his heart was warm. The mother of the beautiful master is named Shui Hongyao, who looks to be in her 30s, graceful, mature, and charming. When he first entered the sect 4 years ago, thanks to the care of his master, she traveled and never returned. To be honest, Suchonga sometimes misses her a lot, because she is very milky, that is, very caring for people, encouraging him, expecting, taking care of him, sending care and blessings from time to time, etc. Suchonga always feels that he is milked by her from time to time, and his sense of happiness is bursting. And in the past few days, he finally came back, and he could finally see master and mother again, and he couldn't help but look forward to it. The two warmed up for a while, and Yi Qingyao reluctantly left. After she left, Suchonga also returned to the cabin. Sitting on the small bed, Suchonga looked sideways at the system space. I saw a palm-sized bottle suspended there, shining with dazzling treasure. Light around it, shining brightly, and the brilliant light was like sunlight. He took it out and looked at it up close. I saw a trace of golden mysterious patterns engraved on the bottle body, and there was a pure heaven and earth spiritual energy condensed, almost like the essence of life. Without pulling out the mouth, you can clearly feel this pure essence breath. Suchonga's divine sense swept away, and he quickly calculated the number. In this bottle, there are 1,842 drops of Oka Jing bottle of jade dew. He didn't plan to swallow it alone, but shared it with the three of Xiao Yuer. Of course, he also had to leave some for the beautiful master, and give it to her when he found the opportunity. 1842 divided by 4, about 460, then each person absorbs 460 drops. Suchonga calculated in his heart, and immediately took out 3 small bottles, and divided this bottle of clean bottle jade dew into 4 parts. Xiao Yu, mercy, this is yours, take it. He handed 2 of them to Xiao Yu and Lear. Gongzi, this is, when Lear smelled such a rich aura, she was slightly stunned, and immediately expected that this must be an extremely rare treasure, and suddenly a warm current flowed through the atrium. Xiao Yu couldn't help but say that the bottle handed over in his hand was warm, and his heart was moved. This is the clean bottle of Yulu, you guys hurry up to improve your strength. Wait for the tournament, we will fight side by side. Suchonga waved his hand generously, and his smile was hearty. The tears of mercy and Xiao Yu overflowed. 1 drop of this thing is scary enough, but Gongzi gave himself 460 drops. Woo, Gongzi is so good to himself. With their mouths open, they drank the clean bottle of jade dew. Oh. Moment. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. There was a series of sounds of cultivation breaking in the body. The first is the small Feiji. The divine martial realm is a heavy heaven. Divine martial realm, triple heaven. Divine martial realm, 5th heaven. Divine martial realm, 7th heaven. Divine martial realm, 9 heavens. Avatar. Shengang. Xiao Yu's cultivation climbed step by step, and soon reached the divine martial 9 layer, and then stepped into the next realm in a very short time, reaching the divine gang realm. In just one breath, 3 realms in a row. I have to say that this bottle of clean bottle of jade dew is too worth drinking. For a time, Xiao Yu's heart was extremely moved, and tears of emotion slipped down his eyes. On the side, as he drank the clean bottle of jade dew, Su Xianyue's cultivation also skyrocketed in an instant. The divine power realm is a heavy heaven. Divine Power Realm Triple Heaven. Divine Power Realm 5 Heavens. Divine Power Realm 7 Heavens. Divine Power Realm 9 Heavens. Shengang. Divinity. Like Xiaoyu, in just one breath, Su Xianyue broke through the 3 realms in a row and entered the Divine Power Realm. Void God's 6 realms, Shenwu, Shentong, Shengang, Shenwei, Shendomain. Shenra. Xiuwei's ascension was unexpected, and when he came back to his senses, crystal tears flowed in his eyes, and his eyes looking at Su Chang'e were brilliant, like brilliant gems. Good, good. Seeing that both of them broke through the 3 realms in a row, Su Chang'e was excited in his heart and let out a cheer. Immediately after, he drank his share. In an instant, there was a rumbling noise in the body, and one after another. Cultivation shackles fell like a multibone card, endlessly. Seal the King Realm 1 Heaven. Seal the 3 heavens of the King Realm. Seal the 5 heavens of the King Realm. Seal the 7th heaven of the King Realm. Seal the 9 heavens of the King Realm. Seal the realm of a heavy heaven. Seal the 4 heavens of the frontier. Seal the 6 heavens of the frontier. Seal the 7 heavens of the territory. Seal the 9 heavens of the territory. Xiuwei soared straight to the level of the sealed territory, and the effect of 460 drops of Luojia pure bottle jade dew was exhausted, and the climbing breath could stop. Su Chang'e took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and said, painful. It's a real thrill. The higher the cultivation, the more resources are required for each breakthrough, so Su Chang'e only broke through 2 realms this time. Of course, if he had eaten alone, he would have broken through more this time. But he did not do it. Because he is not fighting alone now. Through the incident of the Black-Winged Great Demon, he experienced the sincere feeling of fighting side by side with his companions, and everyone was united. In a critical moment, almost as a whole fighting, this sincere and pure feeling was more precious than any treasure, and nothing in the world could be exchanged. And the Luojia pure bottle jade dew also has the effect of consolidating the foundation, so after a crazy breakthrough, he and Xiaoyuer's cultivation is extremely strong. Even if he wants to fall down, it is impossible to fall down. At this moment, there was a sudden bang outside, and a breaking wind sound crossed by. Someone is coming. Su Chang'e's eyes froze. After a little perception, I immediately realized who the person was. Tiantai Peak, Wang Wei. P.S. Please know that the most important characters in this book will appear tomorrow, and another one in a few days, and the story is about to usher in the best part. Thank you for chasing here. Squeak dash. Su Chang'e pushed the door out, and immediately saw Wang Wei coming with a mocking smile on his face. Is something wrong with senior brother Wang? Nonsense, I'll come to you if it's okay. Wang Wei's head was raised high, quite energetic, and said, Senior brother Huang has made great achievements. And the Peak Lord is extremely happy, refining 10 furnaces full of golden Xianling Tongdan as a heavy reward, but it also produced 2,000 waste pills. Senior brother who asked me to pass on the message, telling you to quickly go and get it. What he said was very cryptic, and he did not expose what the great achievement was, but Su Chang'e naturally knew what the great achievement was, smacked his lips, and smiled without speaking. Huang Jiulong, you are really bold to go to the sky, and the cowhide has also blown through the sky, waiting for the competition meeting. I hope you can withstand this big lie. Immediately, he and Wang Wei headed to Tiantai Peak. Rooftop Peak. Alchemy Hall. Du Sihai, as the lord of a peak, took care of all opportunities, and after refining the pill, he left one step ahead to deal with other things. When Su Chang'e arrived, he happened to meet Lu Wanhong walking out of the Alchemy Hall with Huang Jiulong. Lu Wanhong's waist is straight, just like wearing a suit on the Blue Star. How? Straight and straight. And Huang Jiulong was holding a huge golden treasure chest in his arms. The lid of the treasure chest was open, and there was a sparkling golden xianling Tongdan inside. Just the rich medicinal aroma smelled. It made people feel refreshed and loosened. Dan is a good pill, but Su Chang'e's attention is not on the pill, but suddenly looks at Huang Jiulong's fingers. Because Huang Jiulong was holding the box, his two hands were very clear, and Su Chang'e saw that he was wearing a silver ring on the index finger of his right hand. He didn't care, and he was ready to take his gaze away after taking a look. But suddenly his mind flashed, followed by a slight pick of his eyebrows. Why haven't I seen him wear it before? Is it a grandfather type Goldfinger? Su Chang'e had a bold guess in his heart. At this moment, Lu Wanhong glanced at him with incomparable contempt from the corner of his eye, and said with an earned sound, "Yo, you little transparent. You are here to get the waist pill again." Regarding the waist pill, Lu Wanhong has heard a lot about it recently. Hu Han had already spread this matter throughout Tiantai Peak, behind his back, causing a circle of laughter and becoming a joke after tea. Su Chang'e actually knew that he was treated as a joke, but he didn't care at all. The reason is simple: will people who make a fortune in muffled voices go and explain to a bunch of fools? It's like discovering a diamond mine and busy mining, but many people don't. No diamonds, it's garbage. Give you a look and see for yourself. He also glanced at Lu Wanhong with the afterglow from the corner of his eye and saluted back. Sensing that contemptuous look, Lu Wanhong suddenly felt a fire in his heart and sneered, "My apprentice uses a good pill, you use a waste pill. The gap between the two of you is not the slightest." Su Chang'e sneered and said, "It's quite a big gap. Your apprentice uses such a good pill, then I hope that when the time comes, he won't be hit by a punch on the spot." Lu Wanhong's eyelids jumped, and he was furious on the spot. This is his precious apprentice, a whole 18 cave heavens, causing the Dao End to tremble. It is a peerless Tianjiao that is rare in hundreds of millions of years. Who dares to be sarcastic? Who dares to beat to death? You can't find death. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. In an instant, the anger in his chest rose like a rocket, and one couldn't help it, and the crowd burst into anger. Who the are you sarcastic? My apprentice is an existence you need to look up to. No, an existence you can't look up to. There are many disciples passing by here in the Alchemy Hall, and as soon as they heard this loud drink, they all immediately gathered around to see the excitement, and they were all grinning at Su Chang'e. Seeing more and more people around, Huang Jiulong's face turned pale, and he hurriedly whispered, "Master, keep a low profile." Unexpectedly, Lu Wanhong was even more arrogant, and shouted at Su Chang'e, "Did you hear that? My apprentice is so hardy, you can't catch up with him. Even if you are 8 horses. Su Chang'e sneered and said, "Hung, you continue to hung, I want to see how long you can jump. The tournament has only been a short year, and this Lu Wanhong is jumping up and down now, and I am afraid that I will have to sit on the ground by my own shocked ass. My legs are soft, and I will no longer be able to stand up." As soon as he heard him say that he was jumping, Lu Wanhong was completely furious, and he cursed with his throat, "Little transparent, who gave you the guts to dare to disrespect this seat in front of everyone? Do you know that This throne is the Lord of the temple, and that curing your sins is as simple as pinching an ant to death. Suchunga squinted at him and smiled coldly. This you are going to ask the sect master. I am a person from Lihua Peak Yi Qingyao, and not from your Tiantai Peak. Can you control me? Besides, if you don't have Huang Jiulong, what are you? As he spoke, he glanced at Huang Jiulong and smiled without speaking. Lu Wanhong blew his beard angrily and glared, and the roots of his teeth were itching, but he took Suchunga's method. 9 peaks autonomy, this is a well-known thing, no one can exceed the power. He Lu Wanhong is no matter how powerful the power, people who want to take. Other peaks are also delusional, only the law enforcement hall can exceed the authority to arrest people from other peaks, but it is always impossible to arrest people because of a little spat, then spread out. I am afraid that it is not to make the world laugh. Seeing him blowing his beard and seeing him glaring at him, Suchunga's heart was extremely happy, and he didn't forget to add another fire, and said, without leaving him any face, to tell you the truth, you count a few. The words came out. Countless people around were all stunned in an instant. I'm Chow? What does little transparent say? Weji, where did he dare to scold Lord Lu Feng like this? Dare to scold the head of the Peak Lord like this? I have never seen it in my life. It is really eye-opening. Groove, awesome. Lu Wanhong's face turned livid, and he shouted angrily on the spot, fuck it. I really think that this seat can't cure you. This seat will go to the other elders to discuss together, jointly enter the Peak Master, let him go to the sect master, open the competition conference in advance, and wait for me. After that, slam the door on the spot. These words touched Huang Jiulong's heart. His heart jumped violently, his heart jumped. If he really opened the tournament in advance, then he couldn't cover everything, and hurriedly said, Master, keep a low profile. Lu Wanhong was willing to keep a low profile, for fear that others would not be able to hear him. He shouted, you are so awesome, let's still keep a low profile. This seat is going to hurry up and open this damn tournament and kill him justifiably. Huang Jiulong was furious for a moment. If it weren't for his true cultivation as low, he really wanted to jump up and slap Lu Wanhong to death, this fool, but right now, he could only accompany a smiling face and said, Master, you dissipate your breath, keep a low profile, keep a low profile. Before he finished speaking, he was pushed away by Lu Wanhong, who was angry, and said coldly, this seat is going to find the major elders to jointly enter the consultation. Don't persuade me, this seat must kill him today. Huang Jiulong burnt his eyebrows in a hurry, and the box was gone, so he hurriedly caught up, pulling his face and persuading him all the way. The 2 masters and apprentices wanted the competition conference to start quickly, justifiably killing Suchunga, and the other was so frightened that his face turned pale, like walking on thin ice, hoping that the competition conference would never start. Looking at their departing backs, Suchunga's heart was refreshed, and he immediately quietly ran the Great Market Refining Soul Sutra, looking at the ring on Huang Jiulong's finger from a distance. It doesn't matter if you don't look. When I saw it, I immediately noticed the clue. With a glance, he immediately found that on Huang Jiulong's ring, there was indeed a wistful aura lingering. It's a soul body. And it's a female soul. My guess is correct, Huang Jiulong really obtained something. Suchunga's eyes flashed a fine light, and he hurriedly said to Wang Wei, wait for me, I'll be right back. Without waiting for Wang Wei to reply, he quickly followed Huang Jiulong's master and apprentice. When he walked to a place where no one was, he took advantage of people's lack of attention and quietly used the Tai Chu Yin Yang ghost step, lurking in the shadow of Huang Jiulong. Half a spirit stone appeared in his hand. Soon, a grain of sand appeared in his hand. Ha ha ha, the outside air is fresh. The first thing the Dark Soul Emperor did when he woke up was to take a sharp breath of fresh air from the outside world. Suchanga didn't have so much nonsense to say to him, and said concisely, "There is a special item for you to see. I can only see that it is a soul body. I can't see the specific place. You quickly help me deduce, quickly." In an instant, he informed the situation. Knowing the situation, the Dark Soul Emperor's eyes narrowed, and a pair of pale eyes swept towards Huang Jiulong's ring, and then immediately began to deduce. A moment later, he laughed strangely and said, "Ha ha ha, it's really unpredictable. That soul body is a famous beauty in the primeval era of the Kanglan realm Yunhua fairy, cultivating in the quasi-saint, and also a fate master. About the origin of her identity, I won't talk about it for a long time, just the point, in the calamity at the end of the primeval era, her physical body was cut off by the end of the era, and she luckily saved a trace of soul, struggling like a lonely soul and wild ghost, and fell asleep in that ring by chance. Time flows slowly, coming to this era. A few days ago, Huang Jiulong bought this ring at an inconspicuous antique stall on the street. Originally he didn't know, but just in recent days, Huang Jiulong found that the spirit stones in his storage bag were always decreasing for no reason. He was about to find out the clue. Yunhua fairy woke up. Huang Jiulong was suddenly surprised, but soon understood under her explanation, and then Huang Jiulong worshipped her as a teacher and accepted her guidance, but because of limited talent, cultivation improved slowly. Yunhua fairy looked straight and shook her head, but the other party was kind to her no matter what she said. She had no choice, so she had to continue to point. Su Changa's eyes condensed slightly. In this way, Huang Jiulong turned out to be a person with a beautiful remnant soul. Nima, this luck is gone. He raised his eyebrows, showing a little solemnity, and said, "Senior, then isn't he like me? Then won't I?" The Dark Soul Emperor flicked his sleeves and said, "When I was in the world, that woman, Grandpa Zhu, had not yet been born." Upon hearing this, Suchanga was overjoyed. "Senior, tell me more details." The Dark Soul Emperor laughed. "The chance she can calculate, I can calculate directly from her. For example, she can calculate where the chance will appear in a few days, and I can calculate directly from her where the opportunity will be in a few days. Young man, understand?" Suchanga was slightly stunned, and suddenly joy descended from the sky, and said with great joy, "I am grass, ruthless." The Dark Soul Emperor's words were simple. Translated as follows: Huang Jiulong's grandfather is very good, but his own grandfather is even more awesome, and he can directly calculate what Huang Jiulong's grandfather will calculate, which is special. Ruthless. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. The largest leak to date appeared. It's okay. For a while, Suchanga shouted in his heart, "This is especially to seize the opportunity from the root." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly thought of an advertising phrase. In his previous life, identify the root of the disease and cure the stomach disease. The meaning of the two is strikingly similar. "That senior, has she calculated any chance recently?" Suchanga asked. The Dark Soul Emperor closed his eyes and began to deduce. Soon, the deduction was completed. He spoke, This time is not a chance, but a special event, in the afternoon. Yunhua Fairy calculated this event and told Huang Jiulong, 3 days later. Yi Qingyao's mother Shui Hongyao will pass by Dabi Mountain, she has traveled abroad for more than 3 years, the car and horse are laborious, exhausted. When she reaches Dabi Mountain, her strength is exhausted, her chest is tight and shortness of breath, and her chest rises and falls. If you prepare the healing pill early, rush over in advance and wait for the rabbit, and finally befriend her, you will gain the favor of the other party. There are countless benefits to be gained later. After speaking, the Dark Soul Emperor immediately calculated Huang Jiulong again, and then said in a deep voice without stopping, "Young man, that Huang." Jiulong rushed to Dabi Mountain 3 days later, and when he saw Shui Hongyao, he immediately felt joy in his heart, secretly coveting her beauty. You must not let this matter go, damn it, you have to remember that any woman in this world, no matter how old she is, as long as it is not 7 old and 80, it is all yours. What were you born for? To conquer. For plunder. Everything in this world belongs to you. Whether it's a treasure or a woman. You can't let anyone else get involved. Even if you don't need it, leave it idle and eat ashes. You can't let others get involved, go quickly. Before he finished speaking, he fell into a deep sleep, as if he had touched some taboo and forcibly cut off. Suchanga smiled. I have to say that the Dark Soul Emperor's thinking is really problematic. But I like it. Although the Dark Soul Emperor's words sounded selfish, he immediately felt that his words were unreasonable. You don't want to see beautiful women following other men, do you? Even if you don't like her, you don't want to see her being taken into the arms of other people. And this is still his own master. Huang Jiulong fucking dares to hit the idea of his master. It's just looking for death. I haven't even fought yet, grass. Next, he returned to the alchemy hall. Wang Wei was helping Hu Han clean up the residue in the Dan furnace in the inner hall at this time. Seeing him coming, Hu Han suddenly showed a mocking smile, took out a storage bag and threw it over, saying, "Oh, 2,000 waste pills." Suchanga looked at it, and sure enough, the bag of waste pills full of golden Shanling Tongdan, about half the size of a fist, and the surface was dark, and immediately said, "Senior brother Hu, I don't think you can see my inferior spirit stone, then I won't give it. It doesn't matter if you give it or not." Hu Han really couldn't look at him, and looked him up and down without smiling, and when he found that he still had no cultivation aura on him, he said in a hidden voice, "I said Junior brother Su, there are so many waste pills in front, and they haven't let you break through the Hotian realm? As a senior brother, I am very anxious for you." Before Suchanga could speak, he took out 2 shining pills and handed them over, sneering, "Just now, Master Venerable saw me burning the fire so attentively, and when he was happy, he rewarded me with 2, but now I see that your cultivation has not risen at all. This heart is really uncomfortable. The feeling is that those waste pills are not effective enough. Right? Then I will simply give you 2 good pills. I hope that when the tournament comes, you can make me feel stronger than ever." Suchanga looked down and saw that it was indeed 2 high-quality pills, both of which were newly refined fresh golden Xianling Tong pills. He sneered in his heart, took it in his hand silently, and said, "Don't worry. Wait for the tournament. If I disappoint you, then I will commit suicide on the spot." Hu Han smiled and shook his head. "Junior brother Su, there is an old saying that says, well, Sherbei should be impressed in 3 days. I don't see you in the past few days. Your cultivation has not risen, but the ability to brag has. Risen a lot, to be honest, I really admire you. Okay, don't talk nonsense with me, hurry back and rely on those waste pills to become stronger. Su Chang'e was too lazy to bird him so much, he still had to hurry back to remove impurities and make a fortune, smiled indifferently, and turned to leave. At the same time that Su Chang'e went back towards the hut, Lu Wanhong soon arrived at the council hall under Huang Jiolong's painstaking persuasion. Along the way, Huang Jiolong tried his best to dissuade, but who would have thought that the more he persuaded, the more determined Lu Wanhong was to open the tournament in advance. Huang Jiolong's heart was anxious to rush up to kill this stupid master, but no way, he was very desperate. Arrived at the council hall, Lu Wanhong waved his big hand, quite a lofty peak lord, and ordered to the side, go, call all the elders in the peak to this seat. Yes. Immediately, the disciples were ordered to leave. Although Lu Wanhong has now ascended, but strictly speaking, it is not really a deputy peak master. Du Sihai's original words are, Lu Wanhong was promoted to the chief elder of Tiantai Peak, and when he was not there, he could act as the responsibility of the peak lord, and did not clearly promote Lu Wanhong to be the deputy peak lord. The reason why everyone called Lu Wanhong peak lord was because they respected him and were afraid that he would suck him. And looking at the entire sect, Lin Invincible has never established the position of deputy peak master, and all peak seat rights are very concentrated, and they are all on the peak lord alone. Therefore, if Lu Wanhong wants to talk to the sect master, he is not qualified at all. And he didn't think that he alone could invite Du Sihai to persuade the sect master, so he had to unite all the elders in the peak to consult together. I believe that with so many high-level motivations, the peak lord will definitely be able to agree. It didn't take long for almost all the elders of Tiantai Peak to arrive. Looking around, the scene was oppressive. Everyone was wearing high-level robes, extremely heroic, and there was a majesty of a high position between their eyebrows. Lu Wanhong sat on the first seat, scanned the audience, and said, everyone, I want to unite all of you and enter the peak lord together. He explained everything, and then asked, what do you think? Immediately, an elder respectfully said, obey the orders of the peak lord. The others also said, obey the command of the peak lord. Huang Jiolong's heartbeat suddenly accelerated to his throat. Fuck, sins, I really hope that heaven will send justice to kill Lu Wanhong. This fool. As soon as he was about to open his mouth to dissuade, Lu Wanhong had already ordered to the side, go, call the peak lord over. The herald disciple immediately went to give the order. Huang Jiolong's anxious brain buzzed, and he couldn't wait to immediately pounce and bite Lu Wanhong to death. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. Master, I can't help it, I have to be low-key. Huang Jiolong was about to cry out in a hurry, the reason for which only he knew, but now he could only break his teeth and swallow it into his stomach. Dealing with his dissuasion, Lu Wanhong did not blink his eyes and said, apprentice, I know that you have a big heart, but it is different for a teacher. What did he just scold as a teacher? How many do I count? Do you know what mood I was in? I can't wait to kill him on the spot. As soon as he said this, there was a bang outside the door, and Du Sihai arrived. What's going on? The first thing he did when he came in was to look at the first seat. Lu Wanhong hurriedly let go of the first seat and said, Peak Lord, please sit. Du Sihai sat down, took a sip of tea slowly, and said, Xingshi moves the Public, there is something to say. Lu Wanhong also did not ink, and said everything one by one. Du Sihai looked at so many people in the audience and said, "You all agreed?" Many high-level officials bowed their hands in unison. Peak Master, Li Hua. Peak is too deceitful, a little transparent, actually wrote on the head of my Tiantai Peak Chief Elder to urinate. If this is passed out, how will others view my Tiantai Peak? Another high-ranking person immediately said, "Peak Lord, this matter must not be settled like this, even if it is scolding, there must be a degree, like Shao transparent, everyone can say rude words in front of everyone, try to ask even if it is you, can you not be angry? Good. We must not swallow this breath." Some radicals also shouted angrily. The subordinates boldly proposed to simply launch the whole peak, enter the sect master, and start the competition conference in advance. Seeing the ups and downs in the field, Huang Jiolong's heart was like a fire, his heart was anxious, and his eyelids jumped. Du Sihai analyzed a wave, and felt that Huang Jiolong could be the Black Wing Great Devil, and with such strength, going to participate in the tournament was naturally a total crush. Immediately, he said, "What you said is reasonable, in our own territory, in front of so many of our own people, cursing and rude words, to be fair, even this seat can't wait to kill him on the spot." Huang Jiolong's heart sank, he scratched his ears and cheeks anxiously, and hurriedly dissuaded, "The Peak Lord must not Truth be told, I'm not ready to participate in the tournament, and I was able to kill the Blackwing Great Devil, completely because of luck and extraordinary performance." Du Sihai waved his hand and smiled, "Although it is an extraordinary performance, but you have a holy soldier in your hand, what are you afraid of?" The corner of Huang Jiolong's mouth twitched, and he was speechless. "You don't need to say more." Du Sihai patted him on the shoulder and said amiably, "To be honest, the two masters and apprentices of Luofeng, this seat has already seen them unfavorably. Today I will launch the whole peak to consult the sect master and start the competition conference in advance." After some deliberation, everyone in Tiantai Peak rushed to the main peak and jointly consulted the sect master. P.S. Tomorrow the Guzheng exam, take a day off, I hope you know. In addition, in recent days, all the big gifts of the little authors have seen it, and they don't say it, but they all keep it firmly in their hearts. August 21st, 22. Not long after, the main Peak Council Hall was filled with people standing in the black-pressed Tiantai Peak. Headed by Du Sihai, more than 30 high-level members of Tiantai Peak, more than 80 pavilion elders, and tens of thousands of disciples stood below, gathered together in the main hall. Seeing this scene, Lu Wanhong didn't mention how excited he was, and he couldn't close his mouth happily. He originally wanted to enter Du Sihai, and thought that he could persuade Du Sihai to consult the sect master, but who knew that Du Sihai was more ruthless than him and directly ordered everyone in the entire Tiantai Peak to jointly enter the consultation. This time, in addition to sweeping the floor, Tiantai Peak has come to everyone a large piece of Wuyong. There were still many disciples outside the door who could not enter, because the hall of deliberation could not be filled. Lu Wanhong was excited here, and Huang Jiolong next to him was almost angry. With him, his face was as pale as paper, and his wrists trembled under his sleeves. And the disciples were different. Just now on the Tiantai Peak, as soon as the news was announced, all the disciples heard that they were going to open the competition conference in advance, and they suddenly fell from the sky one by one, rubbing their fists, eager to kill Suchonga as soon as possible and be promoted to an inner disciple. Sect Master has arrived. A loud drink. Lin Invincible walked into the hall with a puzzled face, looking at this huge battle, his eyebrows slightly raised. Xiao Du, what's the matter? Du Sihai bowed his hand and said, Sect Master, I will wait for a joint consultation, hoping to open the tournament in advance. Oh? Lin Invincible raised his eyebrows and said, why? This, Du Sihai hesitated, not knowing whether to say it or not. It can't be said that you want to kill that little transparent in the name of competition, right? This kind of thing certainly can't be put on the bright side. Sect Master, the disciples under my seat have been practicing diligently during this time, and all of them have skyrocketed in strength, and they can take the exam. In the end, Du Sihai gave such a sentence. Lin Invincible glanced at these tens of thousands of disciples, and saw that although their aura was stronger than before, they looked like ants in his eyes, and said in a deep voice, this kind of cultivation is not even as good as cannon fodder in the competition conference. Du Sihai naturally knows that it is not as good. After all, there are so many immortal swordsmen and swordsmen in the main peak. Even if his disciples are strong, they can't turn over any waves, but as long as they can take the opportunity to kill Suchanga. But after all, he is the lord of a peak, and he is in a high position, so he can't blatantly publicize it. Peak Lord, I'll do it. Lu Wanhong, who had long been impatient, stepped forward, flicked his sleeves, and said directly, Sect Master, Luofeng's little transparent deception is too much, and he actually committed a crime under the public, openly insulting his subordinates, and still on the territory of my Tiantai Peak. How can it be reasonable? Didn't he and his master insist on participating in the tournament? Good. Then satisfy them. Start the competition as soon as possible, and let them show their style. He didn't say it explicitly, but he said it very cleverly, which not only showed that there was no one in Luofeng's little transparent eyes, but also gave him a chance to perform in public. As soon as Lin Invincible heard it, he heard the voice in Lu Wanhong's words. Suddenly, he frowned and pinched a handful of sweat for Luofeng. Even more, Suchanga pinched a sweat. There were rumors before that everyone in Tiantai Peak had long regarded Su Changa as a thorn in their eyes, and if he casually cut off a little of his severed arm stump in the martial arts conference, he could be promoted to an inner disciple straight line, even if he was from a miscellaneous service. This is undoubtedly to kill Suchanga. Changa, that kid has no cultivation, and the entire Tiantai Peak is imposing like a tiger and wolf master. This, if it is a competition, he is afraid that he will be fierce. Lin Wuwei's brows furrowed deeper and deeper, and his face sank. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. He looked down and shouted, have you forgotten why this seat has set a year? To open the tournament? The purpose of this seat is not in the competition conference, but through the competition conference, with the position of the Holy Sun as the goal. Mobilize the disciples of the entire sect to cultivate hard, let them grow rapidly, and drive the sect to prosper. But what are you fools doing? What kind of tournament is opened in advance? And there is nothing to find trouble? Boom. Lin Invincible was furious, and an extremely terrifying Saint King coercion swept out in an instant. In an instant, the outer void trembled, the sound of the heavenly dragon roaring came out, the strong coercion stirred the wind and clouds, the mountains shook, and the breath of the Saint King pierced through the firmament, tearing hundreds of millions of miles of clouds, magnificent and fierce. Shoo! Everyone in Tiantai Peak suddenly felt numb in their scalps, and under this coercion, they felt as small as ants. As long as the sect master had a thought, he would explode on the spot, and blood and flesh would fly. What Lin Invincible said was a fact, and secondly, he was even more worried about Yi Qingyao and Su Chang'e. He didn't want Su Chang'e to have an accident, let alone see Yi Qingyao crying. Chang'e's child is Yi Qingyao's precious apprentice, holding it in his mouth for fear of melting, holding it in the palm of his hand for fear of falling. In case of 3 long and 2 short, Qingyao will not be able to seek death and life at that time. Lin Wuwei didn't want to see this. Sect master, I was wrong. Du Sihai trembled with fear, and many high-ranking people and pavilion elders twitched under the coercion, and as for Lu Wanhong, he almost couldn't help but spew out blood, his heart jumped, and he slumped on the ground. The saint was furious, and the corpse was millions. Not to mention the Saint King who was above the saints. Get out! A word spat out from Lin Invincible's mouth. Ugh! 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 Almost one ran faster than the other, and in a blink of an eye, Du Sihai disappeared, like a dog who lost his family, and many high-ranking people fled in a panic. Lu Wanhong's legs were weak, and he couldn't stand up, and in the end, Lin Invincible left, and he stood up against the wall, panting heavily, and his face was as white as earth. Nevertheless, but he still gritted his teeth and grinned. As soon as he thought of the tasteless little transparent scolding him just now, he felt a fire in his heart, burning more and more, raging anger blocked his heart, and his body trembled with anger. You can't just leave it at that. Since one Tiantai Peak alone can't persuade the sect master, then I will join forces with the other 8 peaks peak lords to consult the sect master. Together, he roared madly in his heart, dead or alive. Go back and plan. Huang Jiolong returned to Tiantai Peak and breathed a long sigh of relief. The battle just now almost didn't scare him to death, and if the sect master nodded in agreement, then everything would be over. Fortunately, in the end, the sect master did not agree. What a blessing in misfortune. Yua Peak, cottage. Su Chang'e was far away, sensing the terrifying aura that erupted from the main peak just now, and under the breath of the Saint King, all the 9 peaks of the sect were shocked, causing a burst of screams. Soon, Jiufeng was talking all over the place, all talking about what had just happened. Su Chang'e went out to inquire, and it didn't take long to understand what happened. Suddenly, he sneered and said, Lu Wanhong, you can't wait to jump into the fire pit. It's a pity that the sect master didn't agree, it's a pity. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly thought of something. Fortunately, the sect master did not agree, otherwise with his current cultivation, he would not be able to win the position of Holy Son. In the end, the strength is still insufficient, and it is necessary to hurry up and improve. He quickly returned to the hut, looked at the 2,000 waste pills in his hand, did not talk nonsense, directly transported the quenching spirit secret technique, and began to remove impurities with a little fingertip. Zhao, a burst of sound sounded, and it didn't take long for him to eliminate 1,000 golden Shanling Tongdan. As soon as the impurities were removed, all of a sudden, the rich medicinal fragrance contained in the elixir emanated, incomparably rich, and the refreshing fragrance overflowed the entire cabin, and the smell was immediately clear and refreshing. He took a break and immediately continued to cull. Time passed slowly, and half an hour passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, the 2,000 waste pills, including those 2 good pills, were all eliminated from impurities and transformed into the supreme-grade golden Xianling Tong pill with a pleasant medicinal fragrance. Jingshuanling Tong Dan has the effect of activating blood circulation and removing stasis, replenishing spiritual qi, and also has the effect of repairing bones and repairing seriously injured bodies. Su Changde looked at Xiaoyu and Lianer. They would hardly be injured, eh? Bloodline terror, a true saint, there was no need for this thing. As for himself, with the support of the two of them, he would not be hurt. Therefore, this elixir can only be given to others. He thought, and quickly figured out who to give it to. Isn't Senior Mother exhausted in strength after 3 days, chest tightness and shortness of breath? This elixir can just be given to her. But she doesn't need that much, it is estimated that 1 or 2 are enough. Then smash her to death with 1,002, and give the other 1,000 to the little junior sister. As for why she didn't give it to the beautiful master, it was because she also had this elixir in her hand, and the only fly in the ointment was that what she had in her hand was not the highest level. And the master mother has been away for 3 years, maybe the medicine on her body has run out, so her strength is exhausted. Immediately, Su Changde pushed the door and left. In the wooden building in the front mountain, Ji Xingyu saw that his senior brother had actually sent him so many pills. His small mouth suddenly opened wide, shocked, and a little tear overflowed in his bright eyes. Good man, good man. Senior brother is such a great good person. Brother didn't read the wrong person. Yes, take it. Su Changde lightly handed over the bag containing the golden Xianling Tongdan. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. That demeanor is very casual. But this. Too much. Ji Xingyu felt that 1,000 was too much, too expensive, and subconsciously refused. But before she finished speaking, Su Changzinger's palm directly covered her pink lips and said, Junior sister, if you do this again, I will hang you up and whip your ass. Ah, Ji Xingyu's mouth opened wide again, and he could almost stuff a cucumber into it. Senior brother sometimes, it seems. It's a little bad, huh? She hurriedly took it in her hand. Here, Su Changde suddenly remembered the beautiful master. If the next time she sends her something extremely precious and rare, if she is shocked and does not dare to accept it, and she politely refuses, then she will hang the beautiful master and spank. Not only that. Xiaoyu and Lear were also whipped. By the way, senior brother, I suddenly want to ask you a question. Ji Xingyu had something to say, but he lowered his head, timidly, and seemed to dare not ask. Su Changde said generously, just say it directly. Ji Xingyu actually wanted to ask his senior brother if he had cultivated. This was the doubt in her heart. Last time she wanted to ask, but she never asked. And now, it's time to ask. Senior brother, are you? As soon as she said this, she suddenly had an epiphany, changed her way, and said in a roundabout way, Senior brother, I recently practiced a book of exercises, but this exercise is a bit difficult. There are a few places I can't understand. Can you help me solve my confusion? If you ask normally, what if senior brother doesn't admit it? She knows that some people are meticulous, and there are many young geniuses in the family who like to play pigs and eat tigers, and perhaps senior brother is such a person. Saying that, she took out a thick book of exercises. Su Changde heard that she was confused in cultivation, and subconsciously wanted to answer, but when she was just about to point out, she suddenly realized something. I can't cultivate, but I can understand the exercises? Joke, right? He immediately changed his tone and smiled, Junior sister, you can't Understand if you can cultivate, and I, a person who can't cultivate, naturally can't understand even more. Good, okay. Jishengyu took the exercises back again. Sure enough, senior brother did not cultivate. Then how did he stop that monster beast? Nothing else, I'll go first. Suchanga turned and left. Senior brother, go slowly. Jishengyu bowed to his back. But the eyes are confused, and I can't figure out why. Soon, Suchanga returned to the hut. As soon as I sat down next to Lianer, the system subsidy in my mind arrived. Ding! You sent 1,000 supreme gold Xianling Tongdan, and the tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess critical attack multiplier, 810,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 9 turns Jindan Z, 9 turns of Jindan Red, 9 turns of Jindan Jin. Huh? 9 turns Jindan? And 3 different colors? Suchanga's eyes flashed with slight surprise, and his breathing began to be a little rapid because of his excitement. Vaguely, I felt that this thing must be extremely terrifying. The next moment, the system sound sounded. 9 turns of Jindan Purple, 9 turns of Jindan Red, 9 turns of Jindan. Jindan is medicine, the longer it burns, the better the change, the more refined it is immortal, and if people take it, it can make people immortal and immortal. 1 turn to descend the pill, 2 to the sex, 3 to nourish the young, 4 to raise the yin, 5 to the bone, 6 to the meat, 7 to the 5 internal organs, 8 to cultivate fire, and 9 to ascend. Once absorbed, the strong golden pill medicinal effect can transform the Dantian into 12 palaces, which is for the 12 life palaces, and from now on do not cultivate the Dantian, but cultivate the life palace. What? Life? Meigong? Suchanga was stunned in surprise. Immediately overjoyed. He naturally knew what the Fate Palace was. The beautiful master once told him that when a monk ascends, there are 2 ways. The first type is not to transform into a Dantian and directly ascend. The second is not in a hurry to ascend, continue to practice, lay a solid foundation, and after a long period of tempering, finally transform the Dantian into a life palace, and then ascend again. The advantage of the life palace is that when the day of the ascension, as long as you want to ascend, you can soar at any time, simply like drinking water, say that the ascension will soar. And ordinary cultivators who ascend with a Dantian, how difficult, if they are not careful, they will fail, and once they fail, they will not be able to ascend in this life, and their cultivation will be stuck forever. Heavy was killed on the spot, and his soul was scattered. However, if you want to transform the life palace, it is far more difficult than ascending, because endless opportunities are needed. Chance is an ethereal thing. Some lucky people pick up the opportunity when they walk on the road, but some unlucky eggs still can't feel it even if the opportunity is buried under their feet. Therefore, many cultivators could only risk death and ascend with their Dantian. The secret of the 9-turn golden pill has clouds, Dan into 9 turns. Creation achievement, Dao fruit round, more accumulated layman 3000, external. Fruit complete, lifting the sky soaring. If translated, this means properly in Versailles. What does that mean? I ate the 9-turn golden pill, achieved a great creation, the Dao fruit was complete, and I accumulated 3000 heritage, which was completely complete, and today I soared. It sounds like one person is showing off to another. I have 9 turns of Jindan, and the ascension is very simple, do you have it? And the 3000 heritage here does not actually mean 3,000 1000-inch, but the meaning of endless, which means a lot, too much to measure. That is, a general reference. Among them, Versailles naturally speaks for itself. Once you have this 9-turn golden pill, swallow it directly, just like standing on the ground to become a Buddha. The Dantian stands on the ground. 9 turns, transforms into the 12 lives palace, and when the time comes, when the cultivation reaches the ascension realm, the mind moves, and it soars directly in a flash. For a time, Suchanga was as happy as a child, overjoyed, and overjoyed. He immediately took out the 9-turn Jindan Jin. I saw that this was different from ordinary pills. It was a round and full pill with a shining luster, and there was no aura fluctuation around the body, as if it was not a pill. But Suchanga knows that just as the so-called loud sound, elephants are invisible, the simpler they are, the more it means that it is not simple. It's like you don't look like you're repaired on the surface. Is it simple? Not simple. Subsequently, he took out the 9 turns Jindan purple and the 9 turns Jindan red, both of which looked ordinary, just a purple and red pill, but only those with discerning eyes understood its value. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. Immediately, Suchanga swallowed the 9 turns Jindan Jin into his stomach with one hand. Boom! In an instant, he felt a little itchy in his body, and the Dantian began to change rapidly, transforming towards the life palace. 1 turn. 2 turns. 3 turns. 4 turns. 6 turns. 7 turns. 8 turns. 9 turns. In just a few breaths, under the strong medicinal power of the 9-turn Jindan Jin, Suchanga Dan became a 9-turn and transformed into a life palace. Looking inside, he was surprised to find that his Dantian was gone, replaced by 12 magnificent golden palaces. The palace is tall and magnificent, like a vast divine palace, majestic, its upper Tao rhyme, ethereal light intertwined, like a fairy palace. Transformed by the Milky Way outside the sky, exuding a mighty Tao rhyme atmosphere, making people feel like landing in a dreamy wonderland. Good. This transformation, my road to ascension in the future, has become a smooth road. He let out a hearty laugh. This is equivalent to paving the way in advance, when the time comes, how to soar. If others see that scene, I am afraid that the envious heart will be broken. Next, Suchanga gave the 9 turns Jindan Z and the 9 turns Jindan Red to Lear and Xiaoyu respectively. Xiaoyu, mercy, this thing can transform your Dantian into a life palace, and never cultivate the Dantian from now on, but cultivate the life palace, take it. When Xiaoyu and Lianer heard this, their lips suddenly opened wide, and even the little fragrant tongue inside was exposed, and they couldn't close for a long time. Mercy is good to say, after all, it is the reincarnation of a saint. And she has already ascended once in the primeval era, and there will be no danger in ascending again. It is like taking the old road, but this thing is also needed. If she can transform the Dantian into a life palace, this reincarnation recultivation can go further. In the previous life, she only reached the step of a saint, but in this life, with this 9-turn golden pill, she may be able to open the possibility of becoming an emperor. Xiaoyu set off a terrifying wave in his heart at this time. This is a pill that can easily transform the Dantian into 12 life palaces. It is difficult to find in the world, and the master gave it to himself. Without money? Woohoo, the owner is so good to himself. Her red lips squirmed, and she opened her mouth to say something, but Chang'e interrupted directly, you don't need to say more words of gratitude. Just put it in your heart, take it. After speaking, he patted her shoulder and put the thing on her hand. Turning his head, Su Chang'e put another one in Lianer's hand. After the two women were grateful for a while, they did not say too much and immediately took it. With their relationship with Su Chang'e, the touching words can be put in their hearts, and if they say it, it will be revealed. With the 9-turn golden pill, in an instant, there was a sound of transformation in their bodies, and within a few breaths, the dam became 9 turns, the creation achievement, the dantian in the body disappeared, and successfully transformed into the 12 Lives Palace. After the transformation, the two women's eyes flashed, and at the same time, they breathed a long sigh of relief, sat down cross-kneeled, and began to look at their changes. Over here, Su Chang'e looked at the remaining 1,000 ultimate golden Xianling Tongdan in his hand and muttered, Huang Jiulong, your reward is my reward. And my reward is far more terrifying than yours. Immediately, he planned to leave for Dabi Mountain. For nothing else. First, cut off the chance of Huang Jiulong from the root of the disease. Second, gain the favor of the master and mother, and third, brush 3 more 9-turn golden pills. In this way, Master Venerable and little junior sister can also transform the dantian into the 12 Lives Palace. As for the remaining one, you can also give it to the master. Having made up his mind, he took out the Feihong sword and stood at the head of the sword. Xiaoyu and Lier stood at the end of the sword, and the 3 of them banged, cut through the void, and headed towards Dabi Mountain. P.S. Thank you to the big ones who have given gifts in recent days. Dragonburn Sky Novel Fan User 358404440 Love, I don't know how to name the name. With Umbrella Forgetful Valley Warsong Kings. Landing in the World Sword LinkedIn Hidden Mood Call Me Lu Ziji Qing. Shuyue is still the same Su Jingpi Tianxia Bumo Barzhong de Bao of Wu Wei Su Shuajuan of Jiangbei City Jinba, who likes the devil snake author I am. Nanai, this big name is powerful, Sheeman blowing snows jingle cat don't worry, the little author remembers it in his heart. Also, if there is a mistake in the book or something unreasonable, or if there is any better suggestion, everyone leave a word in that paragraph, the little author will revise it when he sees it, crab everyone. Su Chang'e set off at the same time. Tiantai Peak, among the tall and gorgeous pavilions. This is not elsewhere, it is Huang Jiulong's residence. How dignified is he now? Therefore, he has long moved out of the collective house where the disciples of the outer gate lived, and lived in the most luxurious mansion in Tiantai Peak, looking at this mansion with carved beams and paintings, flying pavilions and flowing dan, extremely noble and extraordinary, ordinary people can only look up. But Huang Jiulong felt bitter. If the tournament is exposed, his status will collapse immediately, and when the time comes, everyone will shout and fight, and the end will be extremely miserable. Suddenly, the ring on his finger flickered. Huang Jiulong's eyes lit up and said, Master? The ring flashed, which means that Master Venerable has calculated a new opportunity and wants to tell him. When he got this ring a few days ago, after learning that there was a primeval power in it, he was overjoyed and ecstatic. This is a quasi-saint level power, although now there is only a trace of a remnant soul, and it is extremely down, but with her guidance, it is not a problem to change one's life against the sky. And even if he got a small chance that day, he easily picked up 100,000 spirit stones. The next moment, among the rings, a beautiful voice sounded. I just counted a special event, listen up. 3 days later, Yi Qingyao's mother Shui Hongyao will pass by Dabi mountain, she has traveled for more than 3 years, she is exhausted, and when she reaches Debi Mountain, her strength is exhausted, her chest is tight, and her breath is short. If you prepare the healing pill early, rush over and wait in advance, wait for the rabbit, and finally befriend her, you will gain the favor of the other party and will get countless benefits in the future. Huang Jiulong was overjoyed. He knew that after Su Chang'e entered the sect a few years ago, not only Yi Qingyao was good to him, but Shui Hongyao was also good to him, especially Shui Hongyao, who was very envious of others from time to time and hateful. He can't see others good, especially beautiful women are good to Xiao. Transparent. All the beauties in this world, in his imagination, can only be good to him. Ha ha ha, when I rob Shui Hongyao and befriend her, in the future, if she wants to milk Su Chang'e's treasures, they will be used to milk me instead, ha ha ha. Cool. Huang Jiulong laughed heartily as he thought about it. Then, he said to the ring, "Thank you, master, then I will go in 3 days." Unexpectedly, an anxious voice came from the ring. "No, you go now." Yunhua Fairy patted his forehead and said a little helplessly, "I have a bad premonition, you try to go as early as possible to avoid long nights and dreams." Huang Jiulong didn't want to wave his hand directly, "What's the hurry, and no one robs me." Upon hearing this, Yunhua Fairy suddenly shook his head. Alas, how can this son be a little stubborn for his own use, but he does not know that the opportunity has not fallen into the bag, it is always not his own, and he must not be taken lightly. She just pondered in her heart and did not say it explicitly. The other side. After a period of flight, Su Chang'e had already arrived at Debi Mountain. Looking down, I saw the mountains vast, the peaks were steep, and majestic. And majestic. Huh? Suddenly, his mind flashed, and he let out a bitter smile, "I'm also drunk." The Dark Soul Emperor said that the Master Mother passed by here 3 days later. What is the point of me coming so early? It seems that you can only wait here. As he spoke, suddenly, I saw a vine halfway up Debi Mountain, and there seemed to be some shining light divergating, and a rich heaven and earth spiritual energy rushed to my face. "Gongzi, there are treasures." Su Lianyua's eyes lit up, and she spoke, "That's a 1,000-year spirit vine. Bred for 1,000 years to finally bear a fruit, called the 1,000-year Yuan spirit fruit. If a person obeys it, it can restore a lot of vitality and aura. Look at its appearance, it will ripen in half an hour." Su Chang'e suddenly showed a surprise. "I didn't expect to be able to pick up a fruit for nothing. If I hadn't come early, this fruit would have been cheaper." He immediately drove the flying rainbow sword towards there. As soon as he arrived at the place, he turned his head and found that there were already 5 cultivators waiting here for a long time, all of them martial monarch realm cultivators, similar to Huhan. One of them was the martial monarch 9 heavy cultivation, and through the breath, it seemed that he was about to break through the martial monarch and step into the martial king. If he takes this fruit, he will definitely be able to take that step. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. Someone coming? When the strong man of martial monarch Jiuzhong saw that someone was present, his eyes suddenly shivered, and he turned his head to look at the other 4 people, and did not transmit a sound, so blatantly said, "A few Taoists, why don't you send this person away first?" The 4 looked at each other, and they all read a word from each other's eyes. Kill. Tear up. Boom. The 5 weapons erupted with terrifying fluctuations, including guns and halberds as well as axes, and one after another fierce attacks pierced the Long sky, imposing and killing Suchanga. Oh? Suchanga's eyes were cold, and he immediately cleared up a little. Maybe these people saw that their cultivation was a big level weaker than them, and they thought of killing themselves first? Xiaoyu and Lear looked at the 5 people with pity, and then consciously retreated to the side. Quasi-saint soldiers appeared in Su Chang's singers. No nonsense, a sword cut out. Sting. A sword radiance that was extremely sharp burst out. In an instant, the sky darkened. A sword light that was 10,000 feet long suddenly opened the heavens, and the earth, like a divine lightning, directly tearing the waste of Dabi Mountain apart. The ground collapsed, with a click in an instant. It's like an avalanche. This saint. Holy soldiers? This person actually has a holy soldier in his hands? When the 5 people saw this scene, their eyelids jumped and they were stunned. Click, between the electric light and flint, this sword tore through the 5 attacks, and the cold light was sharp, directly slashing at them. Help! Help! Tear up! The 5 heads flew up, and the body exploded in unison, turning into 5 clouds of blood mist. Suchanga glanced at it and said coldly, "Aren't you going to send me away? How was it taken away by my move?" He doesn't talk nonsense either, standing on the ground and waiting. Half an hour passed in a flash. At a certain moment, the 1,000-year-old spirit fruit shined brightly, and a more intense aroma was revealed. The fruit changed from pink to red, and the flesh texture inside could even be seen through the skin. Mature. Suchanga single-handedly took it off, and then dug up the 1,000-year-old Lingting and transplanted it into the Xianhuang pagoda of heaven and earth. Maybe 1,000 years later, this thing can bear new fruit. Master, what should we do in these 3 days, where to stay? Xiaoyu suddenly spoke. Suchanga understood what she meant. There were many monsters in this barren mountain range. Although they were not afraid, they were not worried. Then live in the pagoda, cut wood in it to make a log cabin, and live in it. Inside the pagoda is a vast world, and it is a private space, which is a good place to go. Xiaoyu and Lianer's eyes lit up one after another. But at this moment, Suchanga suddenly realized a very critical point. That is, living in the tower, you must not be able to carry it with you again. You think, people have already entered the tower, how can the tower still be on the body? Doesn't this form a bug? In front, Xiaoyu and Mercy entered the tower, and the tower was all on him. The time he entered the tower before, he put the tower in a hidden place. And this time, too, he found an inconspicuous stone gap, shrunk the tower to the size of a palm, put it in the crack, and then led the 2 women inside. As the saying goes, men and women don't get tired of working together, and the 3 quickly finished logging and built a cozy log cabin inside the pagoda. Time flies, and 3 days pass in a blink of an eye. In the early morning of the 3rd day, Suchanga had just opened his eyes and suddenly felt the earth shaking, and the ground shaking, as if an earthquake had occurred. Gongzi, what's going on? Beside them, Xiaoyu and Lear also noticed this vibration and woke up one after another. Before Suchanga could speak, Huang Jiolong's voice suddenly sounded outside the pagoda. Ha ha ha, I actually picked up a pagoda, not bad, this thing is densely rune. The gods are circulating, it seems that there are mysterious rules of heaven and earth around, powerful. I just don't know how to use it. At this moment, outside, Huang Jiolong looked at this palm-sized pagoda, constantly turning the tower body, and even turning the base over, but it seemed that in addition to being happy, he didn't know how to use this thing and what its name was. After he got up this morning, he didn't slack off too much and quickly rushed towards Daby Mountain, but when he arrived, he found that Shui Hongyao hadn't arrived yet, so he waited here. Originally, he didn't care, but suddenly, a glowing thing caught his attention. It was a stone, and the cracks in the stone emitted a brilliant brilliance, which was extremely extraordinary. He took a closer look and immediately found that it was a small tower, so he smashed the stone with a punch, took the small tower in his hand, and looked at it happily. Soon after, Huang Jiulong suddenly figured out something, and said with joy, "This seems to be a Dao-type treasure, which can be freely enlarged and reduced, ha ha ha. What a surprise, what a surprise. It's just that I haven't found a way to use it yet." He was overjoyed, and then put the Heaven and Earth Xianhuang Pagoda on his body, and began to look into the distance, waiting for Shui Hongyao. "I don't know when Shui Hongyao will come over, but it doesn't matter, it's hard to wait for the rabbit." As he said this, he didn't know that an arm suddenly stretched out from inside the pagoda, holding a brick in the palm of his hand, and without saying a word, he called out towards the back of his head. Bang! Under a brick, the smile on Huang Jiulong's face froze on the spot, only felt that his eyes were flashing Venus, dizzy, one did not hold back, rolled his eyes, and fell down crookedly. Until he fainted, he didn't know who attacked him. "Wow, Gongzi, you are so good." 3 figures emerged, and Lear looked at the bricks in Su Chang's singer. Her beautiful eyes moved, and her smile was like a flower. Xiaoyu's beautiful eyes were shining, flashing with a bright light, and said cheerfully, "The master is so bad, such a rude action in the hands of the master, it is like moving clouds and flowing water, dashing and arbitrary. Even the action of throwing bricks is so handsome." The corners of Su Chang's mouth rose upward. The reason why he used bricks was because he did not intend to kill Huang Jiulong now. The reason is very simple: if Huang Jiulong dies here silently, firstly, it is too cheap for him, and secondly, the truth has not been revealed, and it is not enough to relieve it. He must reveal the truth at the tournament, let him be reviled by thousands of people, and then let him die a bang, throwing the face of the ancestors of the Huang family, before he can be considered dead. Even at that time, maybe he didn't have to make a move, and even Du Sihai would kill him. As for Lu Wanhong, I am afraid that he will be hacked to death on the spot in anger. Su Chang'e felt cool when he thought about it. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. Immediately, he searched Huang Jiulong. You must know that Du Sihai has recently trained him a lot of pills, and he must be extremely rich. Sure enough, after a search, I made a lot of money. In Huang Jiulong's storage bag, there are some middle-grade Dao tools, as well as various Xian-level spirit soldiers, swords, guns, and halberds, in addition to all kinds of elixirs, spirit plants, spirit grasses, gemstones. It can be described as a rich family. Subsequently, 3 million top-grade spirit stones were found at the bottom of the bag. This is Huang Jiulong's promotion to the inner door disciple for 1 month. His Lilu is still different from others, although he has not been promoted to the inner gate for a month, but because of its particularity, Du Sihai specially spoke, and all the Lilu were issued in advance. Then it was directly cheaper, Su Chang'e. After completely searching Huang Jiulong's body, Su Chang'e kicked him out and flew out, and then picked out the things he found, picked out all the good things, and put the garbage in another bag, so it was stored separately. After a while, everything was divided. Next, it is a good thing, and it will be given to Xiaoyu and Lear. As for garbage, directly do adult chance. In fact, those garbage are not garbage, but with his current height, he can't use it at all, and he can't see it. Xiao Yu, Liener, this instrument and spirit stone, as well as these fresh, high-grade elixirs, and these spirit plants, you all take it and divide it. He looked at the two women and said generously. Wow, Gongzi is so good to us. Thank you, Master, Xiao. Yu and Lier were moved to tears, and quickly divided the good things clean. Subsequently, Suchonga took out the 1,000-year-old yuan spirit fruit, and he couldn't help but feel a little worried. There is only one fruit, but Xiaoyu and Lier are two. So the question is, to whom? Xiaoyu saw something and said, Master, are you going to give us this fruit again? Don't be like this, is it bad for you to eat it yourself? Suchonga patted her slender waist and said with a smile, you want to be hung up and spanked, right? Xiao Yu's face turned red all of a sudden, like a red rose blooming on her face. And Jizian blushed and lowered her head shyly. Suchonga clicked, broke the fruit in half, and said, you two are one and a half, take it. This, Lier and Xiaoyu both burst into tears. Gongzi/Master is also too good, not partial at all. They took half of the fruit, took a bite, and suddenly felt crisp and sweet. This is the feeling in the mouth. And the heart is 100 times sweeter, sweet and silky, like eating honey. Here, Suchonga took out a box, put all the garbage in it, and then, casually, blasted out a cave and pushed the box inside. Just wait for the next person to pick it up. At the next moment when I was busy, in my mind, the system's tens of billions of subsidies arrived.